Hi, I'm Janice from Joyful Heart Yoga. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's practice is going to be maybe a short bedtime routine, kind of to unwind from your day. If you have a blanket or a block for this practice, that might just make it a little bit more accessible, a little bit more restorative for you. We're going to start the practice in child's pose. If child's pose is not a comfortable pose for you, maybe lying on your belly or just starting seated or in any other comfortable position. So you can take a blanket here between your calves and your thighs if that gives you a little bit of more support as you start to sit your hips towards your heels and let your forehead come towards the floor. If it doesn't, a block underneath the forehead. And if the arms extended overhead doesn't feel good, you can let your arms drop back down by your side. Right? So coming into your version of child's pose, and remember, this is a wind down. So we're trying not to stress the body. Come into a place where you can begin to rest. So we release tension from our day. Allow the eyes to close. And bring your attention to the breath. So if you're in this belly down towards the floor position, your breath is going to flow more towards the back body, right? Focusing on filling up the back ribs, the back of the lungs. And letting your day just wash over you. And then bring your hands in front as we press up to all fours. So if you wanted to put that blanket maybe under your knees, if you need a little extra cushion, if coming onto all fours is not good for you today, go ahead and come to seated. We'll do a little cat-cow. So inhale, open up the chest. Exhale, round through the back. Inhale, open up. And exhale, round. So nice releasing here, movement through the spine. And on your next exhale, sitting back into child's pose, letting your arms reach forward, we'll take a little side stretch. So take a breath in, lift a little. As you exhale, walk over to the left and then sink into it. Your hips might shift a little to the right. Your arms are reaching, pressing into the hands, but we're not turning or twisting. We're just reaching forward to the side. If you want just a little extra resistance, maybe take your left hand on top of your right hand and just pull a little forward. And then gently release, come back to center, reset. And then inhale, there's a little lift. Exhale, walk over to the right, settle in. Your hips might shift a little to the left as you breathe here. And then again, stay here. Maybe your right hand just stacks on top of your left and just a gentle pulling away, increasing that stretch through the left side body. And then release that. Come back to center. Give your hips a little wiggle. And then rise up to a kneeling position. And we're going to come into a low lunge hamstring stretch. So you can do this on your knees or off of your knees. So if you're not on your knees right now, come to standing at the top of your mat, and you're going to step your left foot back. We're going to step our right foot forward. So we'll all meet either in a lunge with hands on blocks with the left knee back on the floor, or the left knee lifted, right? And then you choose. So we're going to start to shift the hips back, straightening the front leg, and then shift the hips forward, bending the knee. So as you come back, there's a little bowing forward. And as you come forward, you're lifting your chest. So the movement is the same. If the back leg is lifted, your range of motion can be big or small. And then last time, the next time you come into that lunge, if you're coming back to all fours, you'll step the right foot back. If you're coming to standing, you're stepping your left foot forward. And then you could take a little cat-cow or a little wiggle, and we'll switch sides. So from all fours, left foot steps forward. From standing, right foot steps back. So we're finding that lunge. And then we begin to shift the hip, straightening the leg. Inhale, coming back into that lunge. And again, that knee can stay down with the foot released or tucked, or the back knee can be lifted as you come through the poses. Inhale, bend the knee, lift the chest. Exhale, shifting back. The next time you come into the lunge, drop the back knee, bring the left foot back or bring the right leg forward. And then we'll all transition to a seated position, maybe sitting up on a blanket or a block or a cushion. And let your legs come open into a straddle. Wiggle here a little side to side so that you're finding your sit bones, right? Moving some of that flesh out of the way. There can be a little bit of a bend in the knees, and sitting up on something just allows our posture to align itself a little bit better, releasing some tension in the low back and finding the natural curves. We sit upright and then begin to only walk as far forward as your body allows, and settle here. As you settle, you might be able to go a little bit deeper. Remember, this is a nice, gentle, unwinding practice. So we're letting go of any striving, and we're just allowing the body some release. Walk it back up. Hands come under the knees to bend the legs. Maybe a little windshield wiper there. And then go ahead and heel toe the feet. So kind of rock internal and external until the legs come together in front of you. And give them a little shake out. You're going to bend the left leg, bring the sole of the foot to the thigh or the calf so the knee opens out. If your leg is high, take some support here. So again, we're letting go right now of the work. Let the leg be held and supported. Stay upright, or you can start to walk it forward. Hands framing the leg, maybe they rest on the leg. If you can easily touch your toes, great. But again, we're not trying to get anywhere tonight. Breathing into the sensation, relaxing the body. And slowly start to walk it up, hand outside the leg, draw it up, release it, give your legs a little shake, and we switch sides. So we bend the right leg, sole of the foot next to the calf or the thigh. Where does that feel appropriate? Again, block underneath the knee, sitting upright, and then any amount of walking forward. So you might be fairly lifted, right? How does that feel for your low back, your hip, and your hamstring? And settle in with your breath. And we start to walk it up. Hand outside the leg, draw the knee up, release it, shake it out. And we'll do both legs. So bring the soles of the feet to touch. Blocks under the thighs and knees. Sit upright, stay here, or start to hinge forward. So any amount. And we rise up, hands outside of the knees, draw the knees to touch. We're gonna come down onto our back. So you're gonna have your props within reach. Can scoot yourself a little bit forward and either roll down or roll to your side, come down and roll onto your back. So first we're gonna do bridge. So once you get to your back, maybe just a little rocking here side to side, or bring your knees into your chest for a moment. And for a supported bridge, you might like this low folded blanket under your hips, or you might like a block. I'm gonna use my blanket today. So you're gonna have your feet on the floor with bent knees about hip distance apart. Press into your feet so your hips start to lift. Slide either the blanket or the blocks, and then lower so that your pelvis is on that support. You're not on your low back, you're not on the fleshy part. So when you land, you feel that support. And your hands can rest by your side and breathe. And on your next inhale, press into your feet to lift your hips and slide out your support. Lower your hips, allow your feet to widen a little bit. Gently windshield wiper the legs side to side. And then if you want to take that blanket underneath your head for a little support, go ahead and do that. And then keep your feet wide. Your knees are going to drop towards the right, and your knees will be staggered. Feet wide, knees staggered. If you want a block or blanket underneath that right leg, if you feel like it's kind of hanging out, your left leg probably for most of us isn't going to get to the floor, but it should feel somewhat stable. Hands can rest on the belly or open in any version, T or cactus, as you breathe here. And then bring your knees back to center, and we do the other side. So you might have to shift a little bit. Feet are still wide. Knees drop over to the other side, taking again any support that you need there. And settling here. And come back up through center. You can rock a little side to side, bring your arms back down, hug your knees in, take a whole body stretch if that feels good, or just keep hugging in. And then we'll go ahead and come into Shavasana. Take a few minutes to really rest and settle. So you're always invited to take any version of Shavasana. So if you want to lie on your back, if you want to put legs up a wall, today I'm going to do crocodile. So coming onto my belly, as this is a winding down, this is a very grounding posture. So for some of us, we might like a folded blanket underneath our hips and pelvis. It takes a little bit of adjusting so that when you rest on your belly, you feel again that support. You might like a block under your head, or you can use your hands or turn your head to one side. So allow yourself to kind of wiggle a little bit, and then stack your forearms, rest your forehead, settle in. Your toes can turn in or your toes can turn out. Where does that low back feel supported and relaxed? And then wherever you've ended up for your savasana, close the eyes, take a deep breath in, let it go. And again, like that, deep breath in, filling up. Exhale, let it go. And rest here. I invite you to stay here for as long as you have time for. Just bringing in your evening, preparing for sleep. And I thank you for joining me. Sweet dreams.